Today many Armenian soldiers are in captivity. General is saying it's in connection with the security of our border. It's been very frequent, especially after the war. There are some political and psychological aspects here. The political aspect is that President Aliyev knows well that Nikol Pashinyan has less chance to win this election. Therefore, he is trying to snatch some territories during his rule. The psychological aspect is the situation of Azerbaijan after the 30 years of defeat in the First Karabakh War. It's a very hard situation. It's been only 9 months since we have lost the war, but I think it's still a huge burden, especially living it for 30 years. Aliyev had to find way through this psychological crisis as he owed this his nation. What Armenian people are demanding from Nikol Pashinyan is what Azerbaijani people have demanded for 30 years. Why we lost the war? We lost the war because we didn't understand the course of the time. Time is a very crucial factor in the politics. There is no guarantee that we can do something now what we could do before. We estimated this, but the ruling government didn't. I think this is an accumulated strategic problem. The government should have solved this issue earlier. We could take advantage of what we were proposed as a compromise. For example, our people would be happy if they agreed to the systematic solution process proposed to us in the 1990s. What did you suggest that they didn't accept? I agreed the option of the systematic solution. According to this option, we had to return Lachin and Kalbajar to the Azerbaijani side on the condition of holding Lachin corridor under our control. The corridor should have been minimum of 22 km width, but not 4 km that it is now. It was agreed to prevent the range of ground missile strikes on the corridor lane. We should have started talk on the former Soviet Karabakh Autonomous Republic and future status of the Karabakh within the 22 km of the territory of the Lachin corridor. After the solution of the issue of the territorial integrity, we should have stepped forward to negotiate the recognition of the independence of Karabakh, Armenian, Azerbaijan and Karabakh being equal sides. There should have been formed a commission under the Minsk group, and this issue of Karabakh had to be solved by the decisions of these 3 independent states. Karabakh also had a decisive voice. However, Karabakh remained out of negotiations. There were no words of talks on the systematic solution option of the Karabakh issue. It could maintain peace and security for Karabakh for a long time being under the control of the peacekeeping group. There could be opportunities for the development and prosperity of Karabakh. In Europe, in the developed countries, there is no issue of border and it makes no sense for them. Ter-Petrosian noted that the peaceful period in Armenia has been during this rule. He said Azerbaijan has rejected all proposals. Robert Kocharyan should have thought that why Azerbaijani side had rejected it. Azerbaijan was aware that the time was in favor of them. However, he didn't realize this simple thing. There's no political view. If you have problems, you simply need to know the thoughts of the other person. Obviously, time was in favor of Azerbaijan, as I said. Azerbaijan became stronger while Armenia ran into poverty. Azerbaijan formed a modern army, but ours diminished due to a huge number of immigrants. There are also some hidden issues that I don't want to talk about here. Currently, the number of our soldiers are way less than it was in the 90s. What are they hoping for then? Kocharyan and Sargsyan, and even Vazgen Sargsyan couldn't realize that there was an aspect of time. You know, Hitler's biggest mistake was in his attack plan on the Soviet Russia in May. As the situation in Yugoslavia affected this plan, he had to delay it for a month. At the end, the heavy snow in November obstructed him to go any further. The aspect of time could be reason for the fundamental change in the entire world. Why did you abstain while you were sure that the decision could be very critical? You knew that Armenia's fateful issue was being solved. If I did not abstain, there could have been a civic war in Armenia. Why couldn't we realize when the balance between Azerbaijan and Armenia was upset? It was easily changed for the favor of Azerbaijan. The disbalance appeared in 1997-98 when there was an oil consortium in Azerbaijan. After that, Aliyev changed his words. There was a plain paper, the table, dealing the Karabakh issue after the Lisbon summit. Herein, OC was the main party in the negotiation of Karabakh issue. It was not by accident that Vardam Voskanyan was also taking part in that negotiation process. He assured us that everything was all right. Voskanyan met us in Lesbon on our arrival, and he looked pale. By stammering, he said, "Mr. President, the US has proposed a new resolution, and it was agreed with all sides except us. I vetoed it, and I was aware by whom that document of resolution was going to be delivered to Clinton's desk. It was obviously the fuel lobby in Texas. They noted that Aliyev had asked them to approve such a document in Lisbon summit. At that time, Azerbaijani side was inspired by that. With the support of foreign powers, they were able to achieve their goals. At the same time, Azerbaijani side was inspired by that. With the support of foreign powers, they were able to achieve their goals. After some of agreements in the negotiations, Aliyev denied to resume talks with us. They knew that the time was against us, but in favor of them. They were right. Armenia lost the game." Was Turkey involved in the game? Of course no. Turkey was neutral in the process of conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Since the start of the conflict, Demirel had noted that Armenians had the right to live in those territories, and that issue had to be solved. We had very good diplomatic relations. The foreign ministry of Turkey was well structured. Even Azerbaijan was against Turkey's involvement in the process of Karabakh conflict. At that period, Turkey was eager to open the borders with us. During the war, Turkey supplied us with and opened the roads for us. Turkey changed after Erdogan. What is the mistake of the past that we should have learned from that? The reality, getting rid of the dreams of sea-to-sea Armenia, the territories across the Kura and Aras rivers. One should understand the capacity of your state before you come to power, and understand the problems with neighboring countries, as well as knowing of what you might be urged to do by international organizations. This requires a leader to uphold the reality rather than chasing after empty dreams. The humiliating statements of Aliyev is the sign of our negligence. Armenia is observed on TV channels by Azerbaijan every day in the same color. The map also has a great psychological effect. The way that the Armenian Authority has occupied the territories outside of Upper Karabakh, as well as trying to forcefully annex them, is no more than the act of sadism. There is also one person that is constantly in contact with Russia. This is the Armenian Prime Minister. I also have contact with the ambassador. Robert Kocharyan has even closest contact with Russia. However, neither Kocharyan nor I are informed about anything. They speak to Pashinyan as he is the only responsible person for the country. But I think Pashinyan has another problem. His problem is that he doesn't understand what Russia wants to say in its stance. Does it consist of only two scenarios? Is it possible to understand what can happen if either Pashinyan remains or leaves his post? There will be a new situation. It's hard to predict it. Time will say it, even until it takes to the start of a new war. I'm personally unaware of Turkey's aims. Currently, the use of collective security treaty organizations' role is worth noted. Does it exist in fact? Do we really need to bring our global security issue back to the discussion table ourselves? All I know is that they have their own long-term program. If they interfere, the war in Syria, it's still part of their program, and they have even a bigger one for the Transcaucasia. The West and the world has accepted the fact that this region is under control of Russia, though the West made many efforts to find ways here through Georgia. However, this will not carry importance for the West unless the regional states have issues with Russia. Do you think Turkey and Azerbaijan are allies with the West? Turkey is on the one hand is friendly with Russia, and on the other hand they are partners, and Turkey is against the US. In Atatürk's time, there was a limit of territories, and it was what it was. However, Erdogan has bigger dreams about establishing a world of Islam.